All right. What time is it? 9:35. All right. That's our start time. We're going to start. Okay, just a reminder. Next Sunday, no Sunday school. Barbecue and Bluegrass, 10 a.m. Concert starts at 10. Let me just make sure I did all that. Yeah, I did. Concert starts at 10 and lunch follows. So, no Sunday school next week. Now, the following week, Sunday, September the 8th, Sunday school starts at 9. So, everybody repeat after me. From now on, Sunday school starts at 9. There you go. Worship at 10. Starts next Sunday. From then on, we'll be having worship at 10. So, just keep that in mind. Now, the two chapters that I'm going to be covering today have to do with budgeting. And the back of this book has that many pages of helps and guides. And so what I'm going to do is I've got a copy for everybody here. And by the way, you're free to make additional copies. Just take the staple off and make how many ever copies you need. And but I've got one for everybody. And basically what I'm going to do this morning for the lesson is I'm going to take you through the pages that I have provided for you and get you started. There's going to be 2 weeks before we come back and have budget Q&A. Now, this is an open session. I encourage anyone who has a question to ask a question, and I encourage anyone that has an answer to provide an answer. I don't want it just to be me. We've got a good broad range here in this class. We've got some folks who have some good experience. We've got some folks who are just starting out, and we can help one another. Now, how many of y'all remember last Sunday morning that I said that there's a category when it comes to our personal finances called cost of living? Remember that? And you can't plan for it. And when it hits, you just have to deal with it. Did anybody get hit with the cost of living this week? Well, let me tell you what I did. What day was it? Monday night. Monday night, I went outside to trim the bushes away from the AC unit outside because they'd grown up and I want to keep air flowing. Should have done it like in the spring. I clipped the copper line to the system, and it dropped all the Freon in the yard. It was really a pretty thing. The humidity was kind of thick, and that stuff shot out, and the humidity wouldn't let it disperse, and it just hovered on the yard like a cloud and just slid down into the cul-de-sac. It was beautiful.
You called Paul out to look at it?
Yeah, everybody came out to look at it. Neighbors, everybody came out to look at it. The company I went with, I don't know about the company you go with. The company I went with gets $50 a pound. My unit needed 13 pounds plus the repair. We got hit with a $700 plus bill on Tuesday. Nobody's expecting that. So things do happen. So, keep that in mind. And as we learn a little bit about budgeting, yeah, we just want to do this together and encourage one another. And let me start with this, because this is probably the only thing I'm going to refer to the book to this morning. Here are the benefits of budgeting. If you budget, If you have never budgeted, or if you do not budget well, these are the benefits if you can get on the budget cycle. Let's do it that way. How many knows that the financial cycle will spin the crazy cycle? And if you want to stop the financial crazy cycle from spinning, you need to create a budget. You need to get on the budget cycle. So here's what budgeting will, how budgeting will benefit you. It will give you a sense of peace about your finances. That in and of itself is worth it. It will help you determine what's really important in life. And here's where the discipline comes in. If you can really train yourself and teach yourself and be disciplined, you're going to find out there's some things you don't really need. What is the stupidest thing you ever bought with your money? I was just like any teenager. I was working. I didn't have any cost of living. I was still on mom and dad's dime. And I drove from Gaffney to Greenville to Haywood Mall to buy an $80 pair of black Guess jeans. Now, I was 19. I don't know what you can get. I mean, I know there's some expensive jeans out there, but I mean, if you prorate that, if you go back, I'm 46, I can't really do the math, but if you go back a long time, man, I'm talking about you could buy Levi's for $14.99 at Bell's. And I went to the N store, you know, the cool store. It wasn't Hollister, Aeropostale, or none of that. I mean, I don't know what. And paid $80 for a pair of black Guess jeans. That was dumb, y'all. That was dumb. Now I'm watching Logan do it all over again. I mean, you know, you'll see your kids. They'll buy dumb stuff, but you know what? Hey, I'm cool with picking up stuff at Walmart, picking up stuff at Kohl's, picking up stuff at Sam's. I saw a beautiful Tommy Bahama shirt in Belk's at the start of the season. I was like, oh, I could preach in that, until I looked at the price. I ain't paid that for a set of clothes. So you learn what's important. It'll give you a taste of financial success regardless of your income level. Let me say this to the young folks need to learn this lesson well. If you can't manage $1,000, you can't manage $10,000, you can't manage $100,000, you can't manage $1 million. If you won't save $1,000, you won't save $10,000, you won't save $100,000, you won't save $1 million. It's a discipline thing, and you're never too young to start. Some of us in this room bought into the myth. It is a perpetual myth. Every generation repeats it, and they say, I don't have enough money to budget. I don't have enough money to tithe. I don't have enough money to invest. I don't have enough money to save. Folks, the best advice you can hear from me and start using is, I don't care if it's $250 a week. You need to have a savings envelope or a place for savings. And you need to commit to put something there, because it's a discipline, it's a lifelong pattern. Hey, Paul and I, we live the myth. We'll wait till we make more money to do better. Well, we did. But then we looked at, not only are you doing better, but you're playing catch up and getting things straightened out and lined up, and you still don't have that much, a little nest egg that you could have had. So, regardless of your income level, get a hold of this budget thing. It'll improve your self-confidence. It'll make you a smarter consumer. It'll give you richer, more luxurious hair. Okay, that's completely made up. But it is in the book. It is in the book. Okay, at the end of the class today, I'm going to give y'all a set of papers. One thing you're going to immediately realize is that I didn't follow the order of the book. And the reason I didn't follow the order of the book is because the papers are arranged to coincide with the chapters, but because we're condensing and moving through certain areas and doing certain things, we're not going to follow that time schedule. So I'm giving you everything today, but I'm giving it in the order of a budget plan. So just keep that in mind. Now, it just stands to reason, statistically it stands to reason that somebody in this room can't have pages that are out of numerical order. And you're going to go home and you're going to cut the staple loose and you're going to put them back in numerical order. That's fine too, but I'm just going to walk you through. The first page you're going to see is a chart. It's called From Financial Bondage to Financial Freedom. It describes a broad variety of financial scenarios. Maybe you fit in one of them, maybe one of them sounds familiar, maybe one doesn't. But this is just to give you some encouragement. And here's the thing about it. Remember I told y'all this has a 2000 print date on it. So it's 13 years old. Don't think, if you're in this room, this is just like the crazy cycle in love and respect. If you're in this room and you and your wife don't get along, don't think you're the only one. And if you struggle with finances, don't think you're the only one. It's a universal problem. It's a human problem. It's been going on as long as man has had money. Now, the next thing is a little checklist of common money problems. Again, it's just some, there might be one on, let me just pick one. I don't know what to do. That might fit you. On the other hand, rejection from church members, I don't know how that even is on the list. I mean, I really don't. But it's on the list. So, maybe something there. Now, the next thing I gave you, which I have already given you, is the growing and giving chart. And this is taking your giving from 5% to 15%, with the tithe being the benchmark. That's where you should be. Growing to 12% or 15%, that's a personal thing. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. If you chose to give more than 10% and you chose to set aside 2%, that, let's say the 12% or the 15%, the 2% or the 5% extra, and you said, you know what, I don't want to give that to the church, but that 5% I want to give to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. That's your prerogative. That's your prerogative. I am going to make a biblical case, though, that the tithe, the 10%, does go to the church. That's where it should go. So, you already have this, but I put it in these pages in the order because I think this is the foundation for budgeting. If you're going to sit down with your wife and you're going to say, hey, let's try this budget thing, don't go into the budget without putting your percentage of tithe. You say, well, what do I do if I only give 5%? Well, the average Christian American gives 2.5%. Maybe you're average. Put that on your budget. Put that on your budget. Be honest, put it on your budget. Or and try to grow out of it. If you can grow out of it immediately, put the 10 down and go on. But foundation for budgeting, I think, is biblical obedience with regards to money. Since we are going to spend some time in 2 weeks on Q&A, that morning I am going to share with you a passage of Scripture from the Old Testament that explains in detail what it means when you're under a curse from God and what it means when you're being blessed by God. And so that whole tithing thing will make better sense. If you're robbing God, you're under a curse, and it's complete and it's total. If you're giving to God, you're being blessed by God, and it's complete and it's total. Now, can you tithe and be stupid with the other 90%? Oh, so yes, you can. Absolutely. You can. There, there you go. And that, see, you know, the discussion's already started. Sticking to it is a problem. You know, it's a learning, it's a start, it's a process, and it's a growing. By the way, how long y'all been married? 16 years. And y'all been married 16 weeks yet? See what I told you, you know? I'm not giving you a silver bullet. I'm giving you something that's going to be just as difficult to maintain as the love and respect class that we did. This is something that, but it's good to be committed to. So now, the next thing you're going to see is a percentage guide for family income. Now, this chart is broken down just like the budget plan sheet is broken down. And you will see 15 categories. And so, for example, on this chart, he's got net spendable income, housing is 40%. In one category, again, he encourages you, and as you work through this, he'll show you this. He puts categories, recommended categories. But here's the thing. What if you run across, as you're trying to put your budget together, what if you run across a recommendation that doesn't meet your and your wife's needs or your family income needs? I'll give you a scenario. This is one scenario. Let's say that the guideline says that you ought to save a certain percentage. But you can't save that much money because you're trying to get out of debt. And maybe bringing down a certain bill or a certain category of bills is your priority. These are guidelines. You do what works for you and your family. Financial decisions are very personal, they're very individual, and there are so many unknown factors that it becomes a priority. Listen, when somebody gives you a $700+ bill on Tuesday and the thing says payable in 15 days or payment due in 15 days, it sort of shifts some priorities looking at the rest of August. It just does. So you have to shift and adjust and make your priorities. So always understand that. These are guidelines, be flexible. Now, here is a budget percentage sample. And so what the authors have done is they've taken a budget using the categories that they lay out, and they have put in the percentages that they suggest, and they've adjusted the numbers. This is fictitious. This is just a model. If someone made $35,000 a year and they did their budget based on the guidelines in the book, this is what it would look like. So this is a model to help you understand it. It comes before your actual budget worksheet. Then, here is a budget worksheet, sample budget worksheet. You will want to make more copies. Some of you are computer savvy. You know how to go in and make a spreadsheet or a chart or a graph. And folks, there's a lot of downloadable stuff from the internet and stuff that's free. All you got to do is type in the numbers and it'll generate it. There are even, if you do your banking online, a lot of banks provide this kind of information. You can go online and set up a budget, and as you make withdrawals and payments in your bank, it'll make calculations for you. So there's a lot of help out there. Use whatever you can. But this one's blank. I encourage you to make some extra copies so that as you start filling it out, you learn. And again, the 15 categories. School child care. Who's in here? I wish Dennis Schillenberg was in here. If Dennis Schillenberg, I can promise you, Dennis Schillenberg better not have child education fund on his budget. Dennis is single, y'all. That's what I'm saying. For those of you that don't know, he's a single man. And so he doesn't have a child. So again, make this personal. Use it as a guideline. Y'all's kids are grown and gone. If y'all want to create a college fund for your grandchild, that's your business. But aside from that, you really don't have to have that kind of category in yours. You got 2 kids headed to college close. You better do some percentage shifting and make that one a big pie. Gonna be expensive. Okay, listen, guys. We've got a couple of weeks. Somebody help me out on the time. What time is it? Okay, we're going good. 2 weeks from now, September 8th, we're going to talk. It gives us 2 weeks. This particular book, The World's Easiest Guide to Finances, put out by Crown Financial Resources. If you want to get your own book or go online, a lot has changed in the last 13 years. Everything that is in this book, you can go to their website and probably get. So that's Crown Financial Resources if you're interested. I don't have a beef with Dave Ramsey. I've listened to Dave Ramsey on talk radio for years. Dave Ramsey makes a lot of sense and has a lot of good advice. We're not trying to say one's better than the other. Probably your grandmother's budget advice was just as good as Dave Ramsey's and Crown Financial. So, you know, just the thing is creating a budget and sticking to it. Now, what this book recommends is for the first month of budget preparation that you start developing more of a plan than a stick to it. And as you develop your plan, you write down every expense. Every expense. Because there are pitfalls. Here's what we do, guys. We carry a little wad of cash and change in our pocket. And you're on the road, man, I'm going to run into QT. I'm going to get me one of them slushies. Well, that's cool. That's cool. You can get a slushie for less than $1. But who among us really goes in for a slushie and comes out with just a slushie? And so what you might find out is all those little trips through the drive-thru and all those little quick trips through the quick trip, man, I spent $43 a week doing that. You know what you can do with $43 a week? I mean, you can do crazy things. So this sheet encourages you to keep track. So keep track. Yeah, keep the cup. You do get cheaper refills. You can buy one of them big old things and get cheaper refills. Now, here's one for credit card payments at a glance. If you're like most people who deal with credit card debt, you just soon not look at it. Well, it's time to look at it. It's time to get every one of them out of the pocketbook. Every one of them, you know, here's what we typically do. If you're like most people, you have all the ones that you keep on your person, and then you got a few stashed. Get them all. Don't lie to yourself. Get them all. So get them all out and put them down and start. That will lead you to a credit card debt elimination strategy. And you just fill in the chart. And here, this is simple, y'all. This is simple. This is what you do. You organize the debt list with the largest balances on top and the smallest balances on the bottom. List the accounts with the highest interest rates toward the bottom of the list. Concentrate on paying the account at the bottom of the list first and systematically work your way up to the top. So, how many of you have ever heard of the debt snowball? You know what the debt snowball is? Here's the debt snowball. Let's say you got 3 cards And I got to use numbers that are simple. So we'll go 300, and we'll go 200, and we'll go 100. So how much credit card debt do you have? Well, you got $600 in credit card debt. Let's just say your total payments on all three is $25. You have to make that, okay? Here's what the debt snowball says. You make your 25, your 25, and your 25 because that's what you're obligated to. But the goal is to move this one off ASAP. So you get that one paid off the quickest. Now what just happened, y'all? You now have 25 to go to QT. No, that's not how the debt snowball works. When you pay this one off, this 25 goes here, and now you're paying 50. And so then when this one goes away, you're working on the biggest one, and you're paying 75. That's the debt snowball in a nutshell. That's overly simplified. If Dave Ramsey sees this on YouTube, he may sue me for doing damage to his debt snowball. Dave, don't be mad at me. I greatly oversimplified it. But that's the nuts and the bolts of it. That's the nuts and the bolts of it. Okay. Then there's a sheet in here, just in case you need it, that says how much credit card debt can you really afford? And it's self-explanatory. It's just an evaluation tool. It lets you take it serious. See, here's what happens. Man, I got a lot of credit cards, but I only have to pay $72 a month on all of them. That's well within the range. Yeah, if you never want to pay any of them off. Never want to pay them off. So, this strategy right here will actually show you the total debts and the interest and work it into your category of budgeting based on your annual income. And it's just like determining the house payment and a car payment. You got too much? You got more than you need to? Get the debt snowball rolling and clip some cards. Okay, a proven strategy for conquering credit card debt. These are 2 pages that go together. And this is how the Millers did it. This is an example of how one family eliminated their credit card debt, and it gives you an example to follow. So those 2 are there. Now, creating a budget is all about putting everything down as far as possible. So there's a variable expense planning worksheet. And so vacation, estimated cost, divided by 12. How much are you saving on your vacation per month? What? Well, we've never done that. We just wait on our taxes to come back and we use that money to go on vacation. Hey, that's okay. A lot of people do that. But if you really want to get a hold of your expenses overall, you can actually break it down a little bit. And so here's another thing. When at one time you had $75 a month going to credit card payments, once you get rid of your credit card payments, now you got $75 to go where? Maybe towards vacation, maybe towards whatever you want, because but you're putting a little bit in each month. And now, so this is what the variable expense. I'll just give you the categories right quick. The vacation, the dentist, the doctor, automobile. Automobile for sure? Really? 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 Well, here's what's going to happen to me in a few weeks. I'm riding on some bad front tires, y'all. Really bad front tires. And I was planning on getting those tires taken care of until I shot all the Freon out in the cul-de-sac. But You know one thing that Paul and Lamar haven't done? The last time I put 4 new tires on the truck, and it was just a little under $500, we should have said, hey, how much is that divided a month? And let's put that back, because how long are tires rated for? 60 to 70,000 miles. That's what the manufacturer tells you. I get a little more than that. I'm waiting on the wires to show. When the wires show, I'm actually going to go get my tires replaced. But I ride dangerous, y'all. Ride too fast. I got bad tires, and I know exactly how low I can get the pin on E. I got a 27-gallon tank on the truck. I put a little over 26 gallons in it the other day. I ride it low, y'all. I do. I ride it low. So, better make an account. Greg said I better make an account for that fuel pump. There you go. The fuel pump's cheap. Replacing it's what's pain in the tail. The labor charge will kill you. So, again, 60 to 70,000 miles, $500 times 12, put a little aside, and guess what? It's there later on. Replacing tires, folks, that is an expense that you can count on. Now, it ain't possible to put a little away for every item on the car. Well, what if my fuel pump goes out? What if my radiator blows? That's just stupidity. If you do that, you're going to drive somebody at your house crazy, and you're probably going to jump off a bridge. That's crazy. But there's some things that are easily calculable, and so take a look at that. Annual insurance, life, health, auto, home, clothing, especially if you have kids. Especially if you have kids, investments and others. So this is a variable expense planning worksheet. I got to get it. They ain't got...
That was our Jeep and camper.
Your Jeep and camper. Listen, some of y'all are going to be watching this. This is classic. The Hendersons had a Jeep and camper fun, and Charlotte took it all away. Yes, sir. It's funny how girls get guys with Jeeps, ain't it? Think my Jeep is sexy. Okay. Have any of you ever created a budget for vacation? Crown Financial says you ought to consider it. It's a suggestion. Some of you are lucky. Your parents own a condo. They send you and or a timeshare. They send you and your family once a year. Maybe you don't need a vacation plan sheet. If you're not that lucky, you may want to consider it. It is a category on the list. So if it's on the list, they give you a worksheet for it. Does Christmas blow anybody out of the water? Is Christmas a pain in the tail? Is Christmas a mad dash and a complete toss of the hands from November to December with a promise to God in January that you'll never do that again? There's a worksheet for that. Creating my budget for Christmas. There you go. Now, here's something that some of y'all in the room know. There are some reasonable items, folks, that you can buy throughout the year at deeply discounted prices that will greatly help you at Christmas time. You don't have to buy everything the day after Christmas. But if you do have small kids, you do have to wait long enough into the season for that one hot item, the Cabbage Patch Kid. Or the Tickle Me Elmo, that crazy, stupid deal that nobody knows, and I don't know who decides. I mean, I didn't get a say. I wasn't interested in Tickle Me Elmo. I didn't want one for my kid. If I'd have known what was going on eBay, though, I would have bought 6 of them and banked. And that's not a bad strategy, y'all. Mike Eubanks, he's on the internet, y'all. He makes a living that way. A significant portion of his self-employment comes from internet sales. This guy can coach you up on buying this year's hot item and making a profit on it on the internet. It can't now. When should you do that? When all other things are taken care of. And it is always a gamble. And when you gamble, listen, I'm not going to tell you that it's a sin to gamble. I'm just going to tell you that the house always has an edge. So before you rush out and buy 700 Cabbage Patch dolls that you know you're going to make a profit of 500 each on them, well, you better make sure that is the it thing. Because if you get stuck with 700 Cabbage Patch dolls, that'll leave a bad taste in your mouth. Did anybody in here sitting on Beanie Babies that didn't sell? Oh my God. I remember when Beanie Babies went nuts. In my lifetime, I have met some people who literally have rooms that are full of Beanie Babies. They intended to get rich off of them, y'all. It wasn't a smart investment. It wasn't a wise thing to do. Budgeting and paying attention to professionals will give you some more common sense strategies that yield a greater return. And I'll just tell you this. If part of your if part of your long-term financial plan is to hit the lottery, I just want you to know that the odds are against you. Now, I will tell you this. If you're ever going to win the lottery, you do have to buy a ticket. Because in this country, they haven't started allowing people to win it that wasn't in it. So if you ever plan on winning a lottery, every once in a while, Grandma will say, well, if I ever won a lottery, I said, Grandma, you think it's a sin to buy a ticket. You ain't never going to win it. And Grandma, this is in keeping with Grandma's personality. Grandma responded, well, I could. Let me just tell you something. The only thing greater than the odds of winning it when you do buy a ticket is winning it when you ain't bought a ticket. It ain't going to happen. If your lifetime strategy includes winning the lottery, you better have a good, solid, continual percentage that gains a certain amount every year, rock solid, in and out. I don't care if it's only 4% or 14%. But I'm not going to tell you not to buy a lottery ticket. I hope you hit one. I hope you take me out to dinner after you do it. I hope you don't forget about us at Duncan First Baptist Church after you do it. But everybody that buys a lottery ticket just ought to know that the house edge is you're more likely to be struck by lightning than you are to win the lottery. Okay. My budget, creating my budget for birthdays and special gifts. Another one. Okay. How much monthly car payment can you really afford? Again, all of this is based on the strategies in the book and the categories and the percentages. And listen, let me just say this. Let me just say this. I don't see where. Okay, the devil's in the details. He doesn't have a interest rate percentage. The interest rates on automobiles in 2000 didn't even consider the interest rates that we've seen in the last 5 years. In 2000, nobody got a car with zero interest rate. I can personally attest to you, Maccabees have been there and done that. That's free money. If you choose. If you choose. I'm not saying it's the best idea. I'm saying it worked for us. But there's a lot of things got to be in play to get no interest on a car payment. How much monthly house allowance can you really afford? Another chart, another tool. Now, this is way down the list, but oh, young couples, please do this. Set a goal that y'all will do this before the end of the year. And set a goal that you will do this together before the end of the year, because let me tell you, okay, honest truth, reality check, y'all. Real estate records, automobile records, life insurance policies, bank savings, loans, credit union records, safe deposit boxes, church records, military records, other important papers, wills, power of attorney, birth certificates, death certificates, marriage license, divorce decrees, social security records. We've got them all. But I don't have a clue where they are. Paula handles that. And if something were to happen to Paula, I have no idea where to look to find the first important paper. Don't do that, y'all. Don't do that, y'all. Here's my advice to y'all, and let's commit to one another, and let's make a challenge. Make a commitment that by the end of this year, you will take this list and everything that applies to you and your household, y'all will do together, and you will be up on it. And I'll make a commitment that by the end of the year, I'll get coached up on Paula about where our stuff is, because I'm like a lot of people, a lot of households. One person's the administrator, the other person is just enjoying life. We need to know. Then there's a life insurance needs worksheet. And so you can tell what I've put in order of importance. So again, this is a way to get started. It's tools and it's strategies. If you need to go deeper with deeper understanding, the book is the world's easiest guide to finances. It's 13 years old. It's probably been revised. I know there are ebook editions. You could download them. And I know that Crown Financial Resources has a website. So spend the next 2 weeks with the stuff I've provided. When we come back together in 2 weeks at 9 o'clock, we will have a budget Q&A. And you're free to ask any questions. And the rest of us, Lamar's not going to be the only one answering. I want the rest of us. We can help one another. We can share advice with one another, and we can benefit one another. Hope y'all have enjoyed it. Hope y'all find all this helpful.